Greetings, Wastelanders! Welcome back to those who are regulars on my channel, and a welcome to all those who are new. This is actually going to be a brand new series for my channel, dedicated solely to the mods for doing settlement builds. I'm going to be showcasing a lot of my favorite mods, as well as those essential tools that really help me build and create these fantastic settlements that you see every couple of weeks from my channel. So in this first video, we're going to talk solely about some of the major tools that I use in order to create these settlements. And I'm not talking about where you can find, you know, all these different textures here and all these different parts. No, this is going to be about the tools that I use in order to make my settlements as large as they are, to scrap the things that I scrap, and to really fine-tune my designs. As you can see right here, we are at Hangman's Alley, which normally is a very, very small settlement. In the vanilla game, basically what you are seeing here is pretty much all you'd be able to build in just the regular settlements. But through some of these tools that I'm going to showcase and teach you about, I'm going to show you how to get up and out and break the borders. So if you're familiar with this area, you know that this is normally not what it looks like. So yeah, let's dive right into this. So the first mod I want to talk about is Fallout 4 Script Extender. Now most of the mods I'm going to talk about are relative to PC, but you might be able to find some of them on Xbox and PlayStation 4 as I go through with them. If I can remember the names of some of the ones that are relevant only to like the PlayStation 4, etc., I will try to name them as well, because that is where I got my start. So, Fallout 4 Script Extender is solely for PC, and what that does is it helps to open the world to all kinds of mods. A lot of mods out there, like on Nexus, do require the Fallout 4 Script Extender to be running in the background along with all your other mods. This helps to unlock everything so that you know, it plays nicely with your game, so make sure you look into that one. You have to be very careful as to which version you download, simply because of what version of the game you might have on your computer. I, for example, am using a slightly older version of everything in order to have another tool, which I'll be talking about later, work properly. If I go for the latest version of Script Extender, the other mod does not work because the mod author has not updated it in quite a while, and so they're not fully compatible. So Fallout 4 Script Extender is very important and vital in order to be able to build giant settlements like this. Now, speaking of giant settlements, I want to talk about ones that extend your borders. The one that I use most of the time is called All Settlements Extended. So let's go ahead and give you an idea of what that looks like. So as you can see, the green border goes way out into the water in that direction and well outside of Hangman's Alley over in this direction. So let's go ahead and skyrocket up into the air just so you can see how big my settlement actually is and how far out I can build in each direction. So there are numerous mods out there that kind of do the same thing. On PC, I like the one called All Settlements Extended. On PlayStation 4, there's a mod that actually has the same name as another mod that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, called the Commonwealth Geck. On PlayStation, that allows you to basically open up a vanilla settlement like this, and no matter what direction you walk in, it basically keeps extending the border for you, and you can just keep going and going and going to make your settlements as large as you possibly want. Do be careful with that. Especially on the PlayStation, because I have hit the limitations where I've gone out really, really far and the game starts to really, really lag. So be extremely careful with that one. Alright, so the next mod on my list is Cheat Room. Now, this isn't necessarily a tool, but it actually is extremely vital for being able to build as much as you want for your settlements, and I will explain why in a second. So when you install this mod, as you can see, it's right here, Cheat Room. It's just left of Sanctuary and Vault 111. Now, what for me anyway makes this so vital is all of the supplies that you can get from here. So if we head over here into the scrap section, you can see we have tons and tons of all of our building materials in here. We have wood, oil, steel, everything you could possibly need. Now, keep in mind when you go to pick this up, you are going to be over encumbered right away. So what I suggest you do if you are on PC is just simply set up God mode, or actually over in here in one of these boxes over here we have all kinds of really cool cheat things. In the rings one, I believe they have an unlimited carry ring or a God mode ring, so that you can do that if you don't really want to use cheat console commands, etc. But basically you have all of these scrapped items in here all ready for you to use. Now, you might be tempted to just pick up a whole bunch of them in God mode and bring them to the settlement that you are working on. I highly suggest you do not do that. What happens is if you pick all these up and put them into the workshop inventory, all of those become individual items that are suddenly locked into your settlement. And what I mean is, in the game's memory, or however they scripted it, all of those items are there, and it's going to make your settlement very, very laggy and buggy, and more likely to start crashing on you more often. So what I highly suggest you do is not store these in your workshop. Instead, you have to get a little bit further into the game so that you can set up supply lines. And what I usually do is I pick a settlement that I don't like to build at, or very rarely build at, or one I've already built at and I'm completely done with, and I will go and I will drop all of my inventory items there, all of my scrap items in that location, and then I will set up a supply line between that one and the one I want to build at. That makes it so that all of that material is available to you at all times, and makes it so that your game is more stable and less likely to crash. What I do besides that is I just use God mode all the time, because I'm not really playing the game, I'm just building. And so what I'll do is I'll end up keeping everything in my inventory. You can see I have all kinds of stuff in here, and this way I can just go from settlement to settlement and just build and build and build without having to worry about setting up my supply lines. So the next mod I want to talk about is Commonwealth Geck. Now, I had mentioned that there was a mod that shares the name with one that is also available on PlayStation 4, that the other one, as I mentioned earlier in this video, allows you to make your settlements much, much larger. Now, the one that's available on PC on Nexus, there's actually, I think, 2 versions of that, and it's also available on Bethesda's website to download the mod, is called Commonwealth Geck. And what this one does is it makes new settlements for you. What it does is it adds new settlements, and it also makes them fully functional versus another tool that might say just give you a new settlement but doesn't give you the option to add settlers and whatnot. So now if we go ahead and look here on the map, we are on Concord, sorry. And as you can see, I have just one settler here that's 80% happy, and like I said, this is now a fully functioning settlement where I can build, I can scrap, I can have settlers live here, they can farm, they can do anything and everything that a normal settlement will do. Comes in super handy if you don't feel like adding mods that just give you like campsites and stuff like that, or make settlements that you cannot really set up as fully functioning. So in this one, I'm actually able to do all that, and as you can see, I built the Ghostbusters headquarter. I did a video on that a couple of months ago, and turned this into a nice little mock-up settlement. I don't really have anybody here except for one person that just kind of hangs out and acts as Janine from Ghostbusters. But it does open up a whole new world of all kinds of different settlements. If you look at the map, you'll find all new places that normally were not. Places that you could build at that now you can. Just simply start searching around on your map, and you'll find some of these random places, like the Gwinnett restaurant. That was not a normal settlement, now it is. Super, super handy if you're looking for new places to build. Alright, now we're going to be talking about scrapping. This can be a little controversial for some people because of the way some of these mods might work for you. If you do have a lower end PC, you do kind of want to be careful So we're going to talk about 3 different scrapping mods that I use here. I use Scrap All the Things, Scrap Everything, and S.C.A.P. I don't know why there's no R in there. That's totally up to the mod author, to each in his or her own why they do that. But specifically, Scrap All the Things you need to be careful with before you put that in your game. It does disable all pre-combines in the entire game, and disabling and removing that mod will not fix that. Now, it will only do that for whatever saves that you enable it for. So if you have different saves and you just want to try it out and see how it works, use one that you don't care about. So when I say disables pre-combines, it makes it so that everything in the game within any buildable area is pretty much scrappable. So if I go ahead and open this, you can see I can scrap all these trees, the garbage can, I can even scrap the road. So if I take out the road here, now that road section is gone, and all we have left is just the actual like in-game ground. Trucks, no problem. Like, I can scrap every single bit of this entire house. Even this lighthouse can go away if I wanted to. Along with that too, you can actually scrap NPCs, non-playable characters. You see all these birds landing. Let me see if I can actually walk up to them. And you can see I can scrap the bird and get some wood, steel, concrete, plastic. So you have to be really careful when you use a mod like that, because you can scrap things that you don't really want to or don't intend to. Even if you're building in a spot that has a entranceway to an interior, one that goes through a load screen, you can actually scrap that door and essentially break your game, because now you won't have that door there anymore to go through. You can also find different things in certain places where there might be ghouls that attack you. Somewhere on the ground might be a little something that's invisible that when you're walking around and you'll highlight it, and it'll say like ghoul ambush, and it's basically like a trigger so that when you get within a certain area or a certain vicinity of that trigger, it's going to cause the ghouls to suddenly wake up and come at you. So it is very, very helpful in being able to completely clean out an entire settlement so that you can get a nice, fresh, clean start, which is what I really, really like to do. As you can see, we can get rid of this giant rock here too. But it's just something you have to be extremely careful with, because you can remove some stuff that you don't really intend to, or that might mess up your game, especially when it comes to getting rid of things like the road sections and driveways and whatnot. Occasionally you might scrap a section of that and you'll end up with kind of like an invisible hole or something like that just underneath it, or where your ground no longer matches up. As you can see here, like this garbage is now kind of floating here. Not that big a deal, I can just get rid of the garbage, etc. But you do have to be careful. There's the perfect example of it. See how the road there now just kind of disappears. So when you're using these scrapping mods, just be careful, save often, and if you're not sure, do a quick save, then go ahead and scrap something, and then if it gives you the result that you want, then you are ready to go. But it's something you want to really, really be careful with. The other two, Scrap Everything and S.C.A.P, they also help you scrap a whole bunch of things as well. I use all 3 of them at all times in order to be able to scrap, like I said, pretty much everything, so that I can start with a nice blank slate. Okay, so the next 2 mods I want to talk about that are extremely helpful when you're first starting out and when you're a seasoned decorator builder like I am, is Unlimited Settlement Budget and Settlement Limits Slashed. Now, if you look in the upper right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the size menu up there, and it is 100% empty. Using mods like these 2 will keep it empty at all times. I can build a million different objects here, and that size limiter will never ever reach its maximum. That is good so that you can continue building as much as you want to, but at the same time you need to really be careful. As you get larger and larger and larger, you have to keep in mind that your computer, PlayStation, Xbox is going to need to render all these items that you put in here. So as you build, you no longer have a budget, and if you start to notice that you're getting lag, that is probably why, because you are starting to kind of reach the game's limitations, or your computer's limitations, I should say, on how much stuff you can render all at once. So super, super helpful to be able to get past the nanny limitation that Bethesda has put in place, which I feel like they did it a little too low compared to what it really should have been, so that you can really fill up your settlement and make it as nice as you possibly want. But at the same time, you really do need to be careful, know what your computer's or your console's limitations are when doing this, so that you don't accidentally build too much, as I have done in the past, and make your settlements extremely buggy, laggy, and unstable. And pretty much any time you visit that place, you are going to see nothing but crashes. So very helpful, just use it wisely. So the last mod that I want to talk about today is going to be one of the greatest tools that you're probably going to be using when doing your settlement building. It's called Place Everywhere. Super, super helpful, not just in being able to place objects anywhere you want, but in really being able to fine-tune your settlement so that you can build some really, really cool things and even do some special effects. So as you can see, I have my cannon here up in the middle of the air, and it is green, and using Place Everywhere I can just leave it right there in the air if I wanted to. Of course we don't really want to, because we don't want to defy gravity, but it is super helpful in being able to do something as simple as that without having that limitation of, you know, maybe there's a rock in the way and Bethesda wouldn't let you place an object there because of that. Now using Place Everywhere, that limitation is completely gone. But there's so much more that this mod can do that I have been discovering. There are a whole bunch of hotkeys. I won't be able to go into every single one of them, but some of the most important ones we're going to talk about right now. So as you see, if I push down, I can't get this to sink into the ground any further. Now by pushing F2, my surface snap goes off, and now I can put it all the way under the ground if I really, really wanted to, or just have a little bit of it sticking out. It's really completely up to you. This is super, super helpful when you're trying to get objects that are having issues snapping together, which could possibly be because of the fact that you can't get it into the ground. If you know you're trying to build, like, say, floors going from one section to another. So let's go ahead and pull up some floor sections here. You know, if you wanted to start off like on your floor like that, you normally couldn't, because you would be stuck to the surface of the ground. Now I can go ahead and put my floors into the ground just like that and snap them together. Now, another feature, if I push F1, turns off object snap, so that no matter what, I'm not snapping into this. And this comes in really, really handy if you wanted to set up some funky angles, or if you're having trouble with roofs not lining up. Sometimes when I'm switching between two different types of building materials, and I go to put a roof section on, sometimes it just will not snap to what I'm working with. So one simple feature of this is just to disable the snapping and just put it wherever you want it. So let's say I wanted it there, and now I wanted to turn my snap back on. Go ahead and back out and turn my snap back on, and now there we go, we can start building. So little things like that are super, super useful for this mod, but there's so much more. Again, there's so many things that I can't really get into, so we're just going to go ahead and play with a few of them so that I can show you. Let's see, let me pick something, little decoration. Maybe see if we can find a statue here. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of these statues in place. Now, if I come here and highlight at it, I can make this smaller or larger. Got to be careful not to go too big, because some things will get a little distorted, but just by going up to the number pads and pressing 1 to make things smaller, or 3 to make them bigger. There are also hotkeys to change the directions as to the way things face. If you're familiar with one of my past videos, I built a spaceship, and in that spaceship I had put a I think it was some fire coming out from the engine. So let me see if I can find the correct fire that I used to do that. Let's see, I think this is where I found it before. There we go. So we have one of these guys that shoots out continuous fire. Now, this is only shooting up, so at the moment I have to actually disable my controller here and switch over to mouse and keyboard. Now, if I hit Control, you see my axis switch to X. And now you can see I can turn this completely sideways. So now we have that sideways. Put my controller back in, because this is much easier for me than keyboard. And there we go. Now you can see I can have my jet coming out of my spaceship or my fighter jet or whatever. It looks like we have, you know, afterburner fire coming out. Super, super helpful for doing things like this, or if you wanted to set up a floorboard on an angle, you can do that. Just set it up to whatever angle you want. Now, one thing that's kind of weird is if I pick this up and go to move it, it kind of moves a little bit weird. So basically line it up for the spot that you want to put it on and put it there, and then set your angle. As you can see, it always wants to kind of face that same direction no matter where I want to take it. You know, I can take it and put it over here, but it's still going to be facing the original direction that I had it facing. So it's something you have to play around with a little bit, but let's go ahead and burn her. But it is super helpful with setting up really, really funky designs and cool effects like that. You know, if we go ahead and let's spawn another one here, we can stick this one underneath her to make it look like she's completely on fire there. And one of the neat things, which I don't remember the hotkey for off the top of my head, is you can actually duplicate these items. Just by simply hitting the key, you can spawn another one that's facing the same exact direction, so that you don't have to sit there and change this every single time that you want to make one of these. You can just keep spawning them over and over and over again. So if I wanted a whole bunch of these, I can spawn a whole bunch and have them all facing out in that direction and make it look like one big giant fireball. So place everywhere, again, is super, super helpful if you're just starting out, and I've been frustrated with how hard it can be sometimes to do things for settlement building. Using something as simple as that mod makes the world of this game so much easier. Now, if you're on the PlayStation 4, you can't get that specific mod, but you can use what I have used in all my previous videos, which is called the Place Anywhere tool. Doesn't have any of these awesome hotkeys like this, but it is extremely super helpful. With that one, you're going to end up with something that basically looks like a wood post, which I don't think I have anything. Let me see if I can show you what it looks like. Nope, definitely not in there. Maybe here. But anyway, you're going to end up with like just a basic wooden post, and you have to bring it over and attach it to the item and then activate it, and then you can take it and move it around so that you can take this object and put it into the ground like that, or put it up in the air. A little more time consuming, a little bit more work than just the Place Everywhere, Place Anywhere, which just allows you to just pick up anything and do whatever the heck you want with it. Another feature is we have the workshop grid that works with not every item, but as you can see, let me see, not that one apparently. Let's try another one here. Nope, not that one either. But there are certain objects like, let's see, if we go into here and pick up maybe like a bed. No, apparently doesn't want to do that. Anyway, some objects will actually lock into a grid system. So if you're lining up a whole bunch of chairs, instead of sitting there having to line each one of them up next to each other, and spending hours trying to make them all straight, using that grid system will actually lock them onto a certain axis, so that every time you rotate an object, it'll move, you know, very slowly like that, so that you can get them all lined up right next to each other perfectly. Another awesome hotkey there is if you're trying to pick up something and you notice how sometimes when you have it highlighted, it makes it a little hard to see if you're trying to just line them up next to each other. Hitting that button, F4, will actually turn that off. Actually, these guys are trying to snap together. That's kind of weird. Anyway, it turns off the highlighting feature so that you can actually see the object as it is, to make it a little bit easier for you. If we go ahead and turn that back on, now we can see everything again. F5, workshop timeout. So if you are building and you want to come just outside your limitations because you want to place like maybe one little tiny object or a bit of fence or something like that, this turns off the timeout so that you can go way outside the borders and not have to worry about anything with place everywhere. Like, if I want to put something outside my border there, I normally can't build it, but if I build it here inside my border, and I want to put something out here, like let's say I wanted to build a guard tower out here, I can do that. Now this is way outside, as you can see I can no longer highlight anything, but because of that I was able to build way outside the border here. Super, super helpful mod. Like I said, if you're just starting out and have been having a lot of trouble because of all the limitations, this is one that you definitely want to have on your side right from the beginning so that you can be able to do all these neat things like just simply as putting something anywhere that you really, really want to, which you should have been able to do from the very beginning. So, like I said, this is a brand new series where I'm going to be doing highlights of mods like this. My next episode, we are going to be doing some more tools, tools of the building trade for settlement building, as well as some of these mods that you see here. I'm going to go into some in-depth explanations and walkthroughs of these mods so that you can see just what they offer and how fantastic they are and how I'm able to get some of the awesome settlement objects that I can get, s'more, etc. So like I said, more videos coming in the future for just this specifically, talking about mods. We are going to continue doing my settlement videos, of course, and my playthroughs. I know I haven't done any of my retro playthrough videos in quite a while, but there will be some more of those coming just for laughs and whatnot. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions or you have any tools that you'd like to recommend for me to showcase, or even mods for me to showcase, go ahead and leave them in the comments below and I will be sure to read them. I do respond pretty much to every single one of them. I really appreciate everything that all the support you guys give, and I wouldn't have this channel without all of you. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, and thank you. And until next time, don't get irradiated.